Welcome back. In this portion of our dress exercise video, we're going to be creating the back dress. I'm going to bring back the karaoke because I want you to see that the dress I'm going to copy, the new one, is going to be the dress front. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and select all of this, and I'm going to make a copy and move it over. I'm using Alt, of course, to copy, Shift to constrain, release the mouse, release Alt and Shift. Now this new dress that I just created is going to be the front dress. You do not need to type this. I'm simply doing this so that you know that the newest copy is going to be the front of the dress. Why do I do that? The newest copy is always going to be the front because I like to overlap my front and back in my layout so that the front is on top. So the original would be the back, and the newest copy will be the front because whatever is the newest copy will always be on top. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to turn this into a back dress. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to do. We need to create a cutout. We're going to add a button. We're going to create a center back seam. We're going to draw a zipper pull, and we're going to indicate where the zipper opening is. Okay, now when we were drawing the gathers, I mentioned that I'm probably going to have to get rid of that little fold right at center front. So now's a good time. I'm going to direct select that and just backspace to get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my line. I'm going to double click the hand tool and get the zoom tool and just zoom in so I can see the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the line segment tool. I'm going to position at the top edge of the midriff. Okay, you can see it kind of highlight. And I'm going to begin holding down the left mouse button, and I'm going to drag down. To constrain it, I'm going to hold Shift, and when I reach the hem edge, I'm going to release the mouse and release Shift. Okay, and so that looks pretty good. Yep, that looks pretty good. That is going to be our seam where our zipper will be. With the line segment tool, I'm going to create a small diagonal line indicating the length of the zipper, maybe about right here. And one thing I like to do on this, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. One thing I like to do on this is using the stroke panel. You remember how we did with profile number 4. This time we're going to do with profile number 1, and it just kind of indicates that it's just, this is where the zipper opening is. It's not actually a construction detail in that would be sewn on or something, but it just tells whoever's going to look at this dress in your company, maybe the pattern maker, exactly where you want the zipper to open to. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to be using the ellipse tool a lot on this next part to create what we need. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, just in the bodice area, so that you can see this really well. Picking up the ellipse tool, I'm going to position under the neck just a little bit and over to the left. I'm going to click and drag, creating an ellipse, and it's going to be a tall, skinny ellipse. And notice that it's hitting the top edge of the midriff, but it is not hitting the neckline. Okay, we don't need it to go all the way to the top because we're going to add a button right here. That would be our closure for this neck area. So again, I used the ellipse tool and I dragged a long skinny ellipse. Don't hold Shift on this because if you hold Shift, what are you going to get? You're going to get a circle. So don't hold Shift on that. Okay, so I don't need this extra one. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Okay, we're going to be back to our Pathfinder tool again here, and we're going to cut this out of the dress. So I'm going to select only the bodice and the ellipse, and I'm going to hit, go into Pathfinder and hit Exclude. Now, to make sure that you really have excluded it, let's hit D for default fill and stroke. So you can see, okay, that looks great. You can see that there is actually a cutout in that bodice. But I want you to notice that something else happened as well. The darts disappeared. The darts disappear because cutting out that hole in the back of the bodice is the most recent thing that I've done. So always the most recent will be on top. So all I have to do is right click, arrange, send to back. We want to send the bodice all the way to the back so the darts reappear. Now, if your bodice is not selected, it won't work. You have to have whatever you're trying to do always has to be active. So make sure that it's selected, right click, and do arrange, send to back. Okay? All right, now that we've done that, we're going to pick up the ellipse tool again, and we're going to position here at back neck. And in fact, I'm going to zoom in so you can see that really well. And I'm going to position right here at center back, and I'm going to draw a circle. Now, if I want to draw from the center out, what's the key I hold? Alt, right? We want to draw from center out. If I want to constrain it to make it a perfect circle, I want to hold Shift. So I hold Alt and Shift, and I get the button the size that I want it, release the mouse, release Alt and Shift. Okay? So that gave us that button that's going to be holding the, come on, hand tool. There we go. That's going to be holding that back neck area together. And now we're going to move on to creating our zipper pull. We have to create a zipper pull right here to tell us or to show where the opening of this dress is. Okay, so we're going to use the ellipse tool again, shortcut L. We're going to make, again, a tall, skinny ellipse. Don't make it too big because a real zipper pull is not going to be gigantic. Maybe make the stroke about 0.5. Once you've done that, let's zoom in on that. Okay, so I'm zooming in on it, and you can see that it's a very nice ellipse, and I want to make this look like it comes more to a point here at the top edge. So I'm going to hit Shift C to switch to my anchor point tool, or you can go to the tool area and do that. I'm going to position over that anchor point, and I'm going to click, and it will turn it to a corner point. Before I do anything else, you can see that's a very sharp corner. In my stroke panel, if I go into where it says corner and choose round join, that will soften it and make it pretty. Now I'm going to position this up at the top edge here of the midriff, but it's not going to show real well if I leave it as is, so I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Two ways you can do it. With the bounding box, you can look for the double curved arrow and you can rotate, but when you do that, it no longer matches, right? Here's something else you can do. Hit the shortcut R for rotate, click on that top anchor point, and then you can rotate it from that specific point and it will be beautifully lined up with your seam. Okay, so it's a little less work and it's just something really cool to know about so that you can create a beautiful zipper pull. All right, we're going to stop here so that you can go ahead and rewind as needed and get your back dress to this point. Okay, I'll see you again in a few minutes, and we're going to start scaling, creating our layout, and then eventually we'll be putting that beautiful swatch in that you created in our last exercise, stripes, repeats, and solids.